The Celtics of Providence New Lenox, led by head coach Keith Healy, have defined the standard of excellence in IHSA wrestling. And the five-time champions try to raise the bar another notch today as they go for a fourth consecutive state title here in the Quad Cities. It's the biggest day of the high school wrestling season as the state's best have gathered in Rock Island for the IHSA Dual Team Wrestling Championships at the Carver Center on the campus of Augustana College. Hi everybody, I'm Steve Schlanger and welcome to what many consider the epicenter of wrestling, the Quad Cities, where it's already been a very active day on the mats with both the quarterfinal and the semifinal matches leading us to the championship round. And in Class 2A, to no one's surprise, the most decorated team in state history, Providence New Lenox, is back to not only defend their title but also try to complete their first undefeated season since 1989. How did they get here? Well, let's run you through the brackets. Their semifinal win over Moline was a rematch of last year's championship round. They face a team in Conant coming off a huge semifinal win over Chicago Lane, handing Lane their first loss of the year. And I'm joined on the telecast today by the former state champion head coach Dan Cliff. And Dan, the task for Conant today figures to be trying to make this a competition with Providence instead of a coronation.
That's right. Providence is wrestling really well right now. Conant's going to have to do something very, very special tonight. This Providence looks like they're on a mission going after their fourth straight championship.
We move along to the single A brackets now, and our championship match features Clinton against Montini. Montini with a semifinal win over the number 2 team in the state, Olympia. How does it look to you, Dan?
Clinton has been ranked 6th all year. Montini has been ranked 3rd. I think this is going to be a toss-up. It's going to be a great dual meet.
It's the culmination of a season's worth of effort. It's the Dual Team Championships on the way next from Rock Island. We come back to the Carver Center, and before we proceed, let's first review the scoring for the individual scoring here. Dan?
The takedown is worth 2 points. An escape where you escape from your opponent is worth 1 point. If you reverse the control of your opponent, you score 2 points for a reversal. If you get turned to your back for a near fall for less than 5 seconds and more than 2 seconds, it's worth 2 points, and more than 5 seconds is worth 3. Team scoring. The team scoring is very simple. If you pin your opponent, your team gets 6 points. A technical fall was a win by 15 points or more. That's 5 team points. And a major decision is worth 4 points. And just a regular decision, your team earns 3 points.
And we're underway on the single A mats. The double A will begin shortly as both matches will be proceeding simultaneously on adjacent mats. And we start with the heavyweights, the 275-pound class. Brandon Dobb against Paul Murphy. Clinton facing Montini. The Broncos against the Maroons.
Scores 4-0. He got a quick takedown and a 2-point near fall.
And still strong position as they move out of bounds, and now a restart coming up.
Now we're on double A right now. Conant is in the red, white, and blue singlet.
This is the double A match, Conant against Providence New Lenox. Again, starting with the heavyweights, they flipped a coin earlier, and this is how they elected to proceed. We will then go to the smaller weights and work our way back up once we finish with the heavyweights.
He's got the cross body right in there trying to run a power half. He's very aggressive right off the bat.
Trying to maneuver to hope for an early pin, but instead a potentially dangerous hand, so they'll separate the two wrestlers.
Providence came out with new singlets tonight. They got darker colored singlets where they've been wearing lighter colored green all day.
They are the Celtics. You would expect the green and maybe white, but they go with the all black for the championship match here. Providence fell behind in the semifinal 4-0 to Moline before rebounding for a decisive victory.
He's trying to cross-face and try to work a cradle, but he was unsuccessful so far.
Down to the final half minutes in this first period of our first AA match. And now, with a position of strength, Conant already off to the 2-0 lead in this first match.
Bill Honeycutt just gave him 2 points for near fall. The official, Bill Honeycutt.
And that concludes the first period of the first AA match at the 275-pound class.
Coach Healy of Providence going for his 4th straight state championship. I think he's in his 8th season there at Providence.
Now Providence starting from a position of strength here in period number 2, trailing 4-0 early on. Dan, how much of a feel-out process goes on through the first match or the first couple of matches?
Well, usually the feel-out process is in the first period of each match, but these two wrestlers came right out after. Conant looks like they're not going to back off from Providence. He came right away and came right after him and scored a takedown. So I think that Conant's going to come right at him. If this match is indicative of any way that the meet is going to go.
A restart after going out of bounds. 5-0 the lead for Conant. Chuck Faison on top of Scott Burfield, the junior, a record of 17-10 coming in. Providence defeated Moline in the semifinals 32-25. Conant a 31-18 team score win over Chicago Lane. And we're under 1 minute remaining in period number 2. Still a 5-0 lead for Chuck Faison. You see a lot of tie-ups and a lot of strength and power displayed in these heavier classes, while it's more speed in the lower classes, right, Dan?
That's true. You'll see a lot of inside control they're trying to work. You don't see many heavyweights shooting double legs like he's doing and riding the legs and power halves. He's a very versatile heavyweight here.
You know, we mentioned the feel-out process, but you would also think that it's important for Conant to get off to a quick start like it is in any sport, but especially against Providence, because last year they essentially buried Moline in the finals because they got up so big early.
That's right, and I think Conant's looking at this and just saying, we're going to go right after it and see what we can get.
We're winding down period number 2. Chuck Faison still pitching a shutout at 5-0 as they go to the final 2 minutes of our first match at the Class 2A state championship match. Now Scott Burfield starts in the lower position.
That's a caution. There was a false start on top by the Conant wrestler.
Chuck Faison, a senior, so he does have the experience on his side, facing the junior. They take it out of bounds and head back to the center. 5-1 now our score as Burfield gets on the board. I mentioned Providence falling behind in the semifinals to Moline, but this is a team that has enjoyed so much success, Dan, that they don't get fazed by much. They can fall behind at various times, but they always know they have so much depth that they have the ability to come back at any stage.
Well, they have an enormous amount of depth. They could have starters out of the lineup and their backups will come in and do very well. They wrestle an outstanding schedule. They wrestle the best teams in the state. They even go out of state to Ohio and wrestle in one of the best tournaments in the country. So they're ready for this tournament.
A takedown for Chuck Faison. He gets 2 points for the Conant Cougars. It's now 7-1. And being very aggressive.
He's trying to run a half Nelson there.
As we work our way down to the final minute of this match. And a commanding lead for the Conant Cougars. Trying to get off to a big start. An additional point, it's now 8-1.
The Conant wrestler was given a point for Providence wrestler stalling, and then Providence got away and scored an escape. So now it's 8-2. The Conant wrestler has to be aware that he's winning by 6 points here, and if he gets a takedown, that'll put him in the major decision mode, which will earn him an extra team point.
On our other mat, just to keep you updated, down to the final 40 seconds of the match, it's 6-2 Montini on top. And we're down to the final 10 ticks on the AA mat, and an imminent win coming for Conant as Chuck Faison is about to put away Scott Burfield with now 4 seconds remaining.
Illegal hold called. The scissors on the head. Now they're just going to check the Conant wrestler and make sure he's okay.
And Paul Murphy about to finish off Brandon Dabb as the clock runs out at the end of their match. It's a 6-2 win for Montini to get things started on the single A level.
That would be just a regular decision, so now Montini's up 3-0.
3 points for the decision, 6 points should a pin occur.
Now Montini's coming out with one of their best wrestlers in Chris Beebe at 103 pounds.
Now back on the AA mats, and the clock runs out there. It's a 9-2 win for Chuck Faison of the Conant Cougars, so they will take a 3-0 lead over Providence New Lenox. And we will move on to the 103-pounders. Zach Berman will take the mat for the Celtics. And for the Conant Cougars, Rick Ardesena, a junior, 26-11.
Right now you're looking at Montini's 103-pounder, Chris Beebe. He was a state champion this year.
And he goes right at him.
Well, he's got a crossface. He's trying to cradle him right now. Just roll him over his back, right to his back. Now he's earning back points.
Joel Carr, the sophomore, a state qualifier with an impressive record of 32-9 coming in, and Beebe, only a freshman, but 42-3. Making his mark early at the high school level.
He's a very good freshman. He won the state last week, and he scored well all day today.
About half a minute left to go on the single A mat here in the first period of this second match, the 103-pound level. Still no score on the AA mats with Providence against Conant. And now a whistle will separate the two with 10 seconds left to go, but a 5-1 lead already for Montini and Beebe. And the first period will end with
another takedown.
7-1 lead as we shift over to the AA mat now. Zach Berman, Rick Ardesanen. And still no score as we wind down in the first period here. About 25 seconds left to go. Providence New Lenox looking to get on the board, trailing 3-0. in the team competition.
He's just hanging on right there. He's trying to make sure he doesn't get scored on. Just holding on till the end of the period.
And this will take us to the end of the period. A scoreless first on the AA mat. And we'll get set for a restart as we begin period number 2. This is the 103-pound level. We will proceed from here up to 112 after beginning with the heavyweights at 275.
Providence will run a lot of Mills series half Nelsons. You'll see them grabbing the far wrist, and they'll run a lot of half Nelsons. It comes from Mills out of Syracuse. Gene Mills was a NCAA champion for Syracuse, and he developed that.
Ardesena gets the first point, and Conant leading 1-0. Dan, how possible is it to establish momentum? Is this somewhat like baseball, where although only one guy goes to the plate at a time, what the guy out there on the mat is doing can trigger the rest of the team?
Oh yeah, you get a couple of pins in a row, he can fire a team up, and an upset win at one weight class where you beat someone you're not supposed to beat, it could fire your team up, and it could turn things around. Oh yeah, momentum is very much a part of the sport.
Still 1-0 for the Conant Cougars, as Rick Ardesena, the junior, is leading Zach Berman, the freshman. We'll take you now over to the single A match, where they're about to wrap up period number 2, a 7-1 lead for Montini.
Beebe's on the bottom trying to get an escape.
Chase Beebe looking for some more points. The freshman once again facing Joel Carr. And he rolls him over with about 5 seconds left to go in the period. And they'll just hang on now for the buzzer. And after 4 minutes on the single A mat, it's a 7-1 lead for Chase Beebe and the Montini Broncos.
Beebe was just about away there, and Carr had to dive in on his legs to keep him from getting away. Did a nice job there.
As we go back to the AA mats, we're now even at 2 apiece. Clock winding down in the second period. Again, Rick Ardesena against Zach Berman. And at the 103-pound level, period number 2 will come to an end, and we're in a deadlock. So a good match going on.
Jim Cartwright, veteran coach, 26 years. He's been here before.
And a false start.
Yeah, false start. They cautioned him. You get a couple cautions before you start losing points. Another caution on the Conant wrestler this time. So now each one of them's got a caution. He had an illegal starting position.
Zach Berman starting down low. Rick Ardesena in a position of strength. And Ardesena quickly on top. Dan, it's still early, but how important is this match? We're tied at 2 in the final period. It's only a 3-0 lead for Conant, but how big?
For Conant, it's huge. For Conant, it's huge. They have to win every close match. They can't give away any close matches to Providence.
And a whistle stops things. They'll take it back to the center. About 1:34 left to go, and now Berman with a 3-2 lead. Zach Berman trying to even the team match at 3 apiece, or even with a pin, establish the first lead for Providence New Lenox. And again, out of bounds they go.
Another caution for illegal start on a Providence. Now there's a point for Conant.
And we're even at 3. Shaping up to be a pretty good match.
Official called a warning for stalling against Providence.
And Ardesena bumps into the official, and they'll restart. Now with 1:05 left. And we're under a minute left to go, still tied at 3. Meanwhile, over on the single A match, Beebe with an impressive win for Montini. And they have the team lead on that mat. Zach Berman trying to get away with 40 seconds left to go. And a whistle stops the action with 37 seconds left in the match. All squared at 3 apiece. We do have sudden death overtime should this period end in a tie. And they go out of bounds. Neither competitor has led by more than 1 throughout this match. It's been very tight. Ardesena and Berman trying to hang on and perhaps get a point in the final 10 seconds that would decide the match. And Berman trying to make a move, but a whistle stops the action with 2 seconds left.
The officials are confirming that there was not a takedown, and it's still tied.
It looked like one official made a move, but that changed things up. So we're tied at 3 now at the end of regulation. We go to a sudden death overtime and explain the scoring procedure, Dan.
It's 2 minutes and the first score wins. Anything that you score with, if it's a penalty, a takedown, anything, you win the match if you score a point.
So what's the strategy? Do you be aggressive or do you play conservatively?
Just like that, you go out and take him down. You don't want to do something and put yourself out of position, but you need to get it done because you don't want to go into the tiebreaker.
So Zach Berman in the second match gets the first win for Providence New Lenox, and we're even at 3 after 2 matches. So that's where we stand. We will continue with more of the dual team state wrestling championships from here in Rock Island when we return on Fox Sports Net. Steve Schlanger with Dan Cliff, and now we're on the single A mat, our third match with Montini leading Clinton 7-0 in the team competition. We're under a minute to go in the first period. Jeremy Ryerson for Clinton facing Mike Grimes at the 112-pound weight class.
Ryerson took a third in the state this year, but he also won the state at 103 last year. So he's an excellent wrestler.
Ryerson with a 2-point lead early on. We see so many different moves here, Dan. How important is creativity over power and strength and maybe even speed?
I don't think creativity is as important as flowing through your moves. You've got alternative moves you change off to after one doesn't work. And, flowing through those moves is important.
There you see the colors for each of the squads. The Broncos in the gold, the Maroons. And of course, what else but maroon? And the clock will expire to signal the end of the first period in this single A match. And it's a 4-2 lead for the Montini Broncos as we shift back over to Double A. And a 2-0 lead for Providence New Lenox. Our wrestlers, Kevin Kennedy for the Celtics and Ryan Gelino for the Conan Cougars. And Kennedy, as you can see, in a position of strength, trying to make a move, trying for something big early on in this match. Kennedy, the sophomore, a state qualifier. And Ryan Giuliani, only a freshman, a 26-21 record as he comes in. Start of the second period now, a 2-0 lead for Providence.
What's unique about Providence is they've only got 6 seniors in their lineup, so they're not senior dominated. So they've got a lot of kids coming back next year.
And they are going for an unprecedented 4th consecutive state title. How in wrestling do you cultivate success on a regular basis like this?
Well, I think success breeds success, and with a good coaching staff that he has, and they've done a nice job with their feeder programs, and it's obviously paying off. 4 state championships, like as you said, is unprecedented. It's only happened one time. And that was 1937 through 41 with Maywood Proviso. So that record stood a long time.
And Kevin Kennedy, leading 2-0 for Providence New Lenox, has really gotten the better of this entire with just over 1 minute left in the second period.
He's riding a cross body ride, and he's also going over the top of his head trying to cradle him up. You see if he locks his hands there. The opponent wrestler rolled out of it.
And a whistle as they go out of bounds with just under 1 minute left to go. It's a point for the Conant Cougars and Ryan Gelano. (3-3) our team score. You see them as they sort of paw at each other. This is the third set of matches today. We had the quarterfinals and the semis. So as they wrestle here in the finals, how much is fatigue a factor, Dan?
Well, I think if they're in good shape, it's not a factor. But if you got a wrestler that's not in very good shape, he's going to wear down at this time. But I think if you're in the finals of the state championship, you know, adrenaline should be able to carry you through a little bit here.
You can sleep after the match, right?
Exactly.
And all off season. Final 5 seconds now of the second period. It's a 4-1 lead for Kennedy as the whistle blows with 3 ticks left on the clock.
Coach Healy there.
In his 8th season, he has 3 state titles at Providence New Lenox. And just like that, the second period comes to an end. A 4-1 lead for Kevin Kennedy and the Providence New Lenox Celtics. 2 minutes to go, and if Kennedy can hang on, Providence would have their first lead in the team score of the evening.
The Conant wrestler was trying to grab at his ankle, trying to break him down, but he's unsuccessful.
Ryan Gelano has not spent much time during this match on top, but now trying to make a serious challenge here in the final period, trailing by 3. Kevin Kennedy looking for the escape as they climb back to their feet and now out of bounds. Very nice crowd for these 2 state championship matches, the single and the double A's. It's been a good crowd all afternoon long, and wrestling is a very vocal sport. They support their teams very well. They're loud throughout.
The Conant wrestler's been trying to break Kennedy down, but he's having a lot of trouble here.
And Kennedy goes down hard.
As soon as I said it, he throws him down.
With just over a minute left to go, do you sense that perhaps Kennedy may be just trying to hang on with a 3-point lead for the 3-point decision at the end?
No, I don't think so. It looked to me like he was trying to get away to get back to his feet. There's a stall call against the Providence wrestler.
And Kennedy now with 30 seconds left to go in the match, leading by 3, trying to give Providence a 6-3 score, barring a pin before the end of the match.
There's a reversal, 2 points.
And now the match down to the final 10 seconds, all but decided. A 5-point lead for Kevin Kennedy as they twirl around and now take it out of bounds with 4 seconds left. And And this match now history, a 6-1 win for Kevin Kennedy and the Providence Celtics. So back-to-back wins in the 103 and 112-pound weight classes. Zach Berman and Kevin Kennedy, and Providence falling behind in the team competition 3-0 early on. Now on top for the first time, 6-3. And we'll jump over to the single A mat now. We are in the third and final period. It's a 5-3 lead for Clinton. And Clinton yet to get on the board in the team competition, trailing 7-0. Mike Grimes, the sophomore for Montini, facing Jeremy Ryerson, again the junior for the Clinton Maroons. And right now Ryerson trailing by 2 as we come up on 1 minute left to go in the match. Montini trying to get something started early on, like to get on the board and cut into this 7-0 deficit.
Frank Filippi's the official, called him out of bounds. He'll take him back to the center. Frank's a veteran official.
Again, a 2-point lead. As we're under 30 seconds now left to go in the match. Still only 2 points separating these wrestlers with 10 seconds left to go in this match. And they go out of bounds, and the clock stopped with 5 seconds left to go. So a quick move needed for any more points before we wrap things up.
Frank Filippi, the official, just called Ryerson for fleeing the mat. So he scored a point for the Clinton wrestler. Excuse me, the Montini wrestler.
5-4 is the lead.
Caution on Grimes.
And that's it. A 6-4 win. So the Clinton Maroons finally get on the board. Their first 3 points in the team competition. They cut the deficit to 4 points overall. And over on the AA mat, the 119-pound weight class, it's a 2-0 lead for Providence New Lenox. As the clock runs out at the end of the first period, Ken Hoving against Matt Kuchela. Four 0 the score as they start the second period. Providence looking to build on their lead. They've won the last 2 consecutive matches.
We're at 119 pounds. This is the meat of Providence's strength. They're very strong in the lower weights here.
Ken Hoving, the senior for the Conan Cougars, while Kuchela, the junior, but a record of 43-2 coming in. A state qualifier, finishing 3rd last week, so another one of the impressive wrestlers that Providence has on their roster. Providence again leading 6-3. Conant won the first match at the 275-pound weight class as Chuck Faison, the senior, defeated Scott Bierfield, the junior. But since then, it's been all Providence. 4-0 the score in this particular match.
When the official holds his fist up like that with the color of the wristband, he's calling that colored wrestler for stalling, for not making aggressive moves.
Kuchela, the wrestler, on top for Providence New Lenox. And Ken Hoving really struggling underneath, trying to do something to break free as we're under a minute left to go in the second period. And even At 119 pounds, you see the strength. There's a hard fall that time. Hoving going to the mats. Kuchela really laying it on here in the final 25 seconds, leading 4-0. And another point for Providence and Matt Kuchela. 5-0 the lead, and that appears to be what the score will end up at the end of the second period as the clock expires. We'll go to the final 2 minutes. Providence and Matt Kuchela leading 5-0.
Okay, they're going to start in the neutral position as opposed to the down position this period. You can have a choice. When you get your choice, you can choose neutral, up or down. The top position is the position of advantage, and the bottom position is the position of disadvantage.
Although you imagine some wrestlers might like it the other way, just depending on their own personal strengths.
On their styles, if they're very good on the mat and they can get away, they might as well choose down, get an additional point. If the other wrestler's very good on top, here we go, the near fall points.
And Kuchela trying for the pin, already leading 9-1 now with 1:20 left to go in the match.
If the other wrestler's very good on top and you don't think you can get away, you choose neutral or you choose top so that he doesn't have a position that he's very good at.
Clock stop with 1:08 left to go in the match as Hoving will tie a shoe. But this match, however, has been dominated by Matt Kuchela. He's been in control throughout, has never trailed Ken Hoving, and has had him on the mat for the majority of this match. 11-2 is the lead, 1 minute left to go. And his feet still in bounds, and now they will call him out.
The officials are conferring yet, and they agree it was 2 points takedown.
And although you saw Ken Hoving completely out of the circle, the feet of Kuchela were still in bounds, so like in football, they keep wrestling.
You saw Coach Cartwright, he didn't look very happy with that call.
13-2 the lead for Providence in this match. They lead the team competition 6-3 with 40 seconds left to go in the third period. Matt Kuchela, the junior, the state qualifier. A tremendous 43-2 record, trying to finish off his competitor, Ken Hoving. As a 10-point lead as the clock winds down, and the two tied up as we will just about come to the conclusion of this match. Under 10 seconds and a whistle.
It's a stalemate that neither wrestler is improving their position, so they'll just start again.
And they'll jostle with each other for a few seconds, and finally the clock runs out. The match is over, and Matt Kuchela has a victory. A 13-3 win, and Providence continues to climb the scoring ladder. Over on the single A mat now. We're in the second period. A 2-0 lead with 24 seconds left to go. Brent Antisberger against Ryan O'Connor. Montini again facing Clinton.
Here. That's Pat Carey for Montini right now.
And the clock about to expire at the end of the second period. They stop it with 1 second left to go. And there you see it at the 119-pound level. Pat Carey for Montini, Brent Antisberger for Clinton. Three 0 is the lead with 1 second left to go here in the second period, and that'll do it. They'll go to the final 2 minutes. 7-3 the overall lead for the Clinton Maroons. And we saw how we had a change in wrestlers, and some may go up or down in weight classes for various reasons, right, Dan?
Yes, if you have two good wrestlers at one weight class and you feel that you can move a wrestler up to beat another wrestler, what you do is you put both of them in, and you can go ahead and score more points that way. It's just a juggling act. It's like a substitution in basketball. Pat Carey's got a record of 11-4, so he seems to be a very good wrestler.
You see the Broncos on top of the Maroons 7-3. They've led throughout in the team competition.
He rolled out of an armbar. I haven't seen that in a long time.
And about to go for a pin. Trying to finish him off. He rolls away. Good strength to snap out of that one. Under a minute left to go in the third period.
He slid his arm between the body and was able to turn off his back that time. Coach Mike Bukowski.
And now a whistle as they stop things on the single A mats.
It looks like they've got a little bit of bleeding there. You've got 5 minutes. You can see the clock flashing. You've got 5 minutes to stop bleeding if there's any kind of bleeding.
All right, with a break in the action, we will also step aside and come back to the Carver Center in Rock Island, Illinois. It's the state championships, class single and double A, here on Fox Sports Net. Due to time constraints, we now pick up the wrestling action further along in the match. As we return, we're on the double A mats. Providence leading this individual match 4-2 as we wind down towards the end of the first period. They're on top 17-3 in the team competition. This is the 135-pound weight class. Mike Klimek, the sophomore, the state qualifier, finishing fourth, has the 6-2 lead now over Dan Eller, the junior from Conant. Now Conant got off to the strong early start, but Providence has stormed back. There's so much depth on this Providence team. One wrestler after another, one weight class after another. They send so much individual talent out there that it's so difficult to stay close in the team match.
You can't have a weak weight class against Providence because they'll get you there.
Both wrestlers tied up, but on their feet. Now going for the legs. Mike Klimek went low, but now back up top. 6-3 is his lead. 1:20 left, second period. Again, tries to go low. And they fall out of the circle. That'll stop the clock. Keith Healy with, as I noticed, the same tie he had on during the finals last year. So he adorns the same tie on his shirts for good luck, I guess,
well,
as his team takes the mat.
If you need the luck or you're superstitious, you might as well stay with it. If it's working, it's working.
I don't know if it's the same shirt or not, but at least the tie is the same. You would hope he has more than one white dress shirt.
Or at least washed it.
Right. 6-3 still the score. Klimek leading for Providence in this match. We're down to the final 30 seconds of the second period. A sizable team lead for the Celtics, 17-3. The Providence Celtics looking for their fourth state title in a row. It's never been done before. And also trying to complete their first undefeated season since 1989.
Providence will be the first four state championships in a row for a dual meet team. But as I said earlier, Maywood Proviso back in the 30s did it. But that's when they kept team scores in the individual meet.
What was wrestling like back in the 30s? Tell me about that.
Back on horsehair mats, and you're in shorts and tights and no shirt.
Do you wrestle in dust, perhaps? Out by the saloon?
They used to have the state tournament at Huff Gym down in Champaign. I hear all the stories from the old timers.
And I'm sure there's many of them. Klemek tries to wiggle free, and he gets 1 point for the escape, now leading 7-3 as we're underway in the third and final period of this match at the AA level. The Celtics leading the team competition 17-3.
I thought he was going to lose control of that wrestler in the air.
It was a helicopter move almost.
Yeah. It's important to note that safety is a very important issue in wrestling, and when a wrestler takes the other wrestler up off his feet in the air, he is responsible for that wrestler to come down safely. If he doesn't come down safely, it's the offensive wrestler's fault, and he can lose the match because of it.
9-4, now the lead for Mike Klemek. The sophomore looking for another victory for Providence New Lenox. He's up by 5. The 140-pound weight class up next here in Rock Island. Boy, Rock Island has become like walking down the red carpet for Providence to the throne. They've had so much success here at the state tournament. And now both wrestlers to the mat along the edge. The play continues as Klemek now takes him down to the mat. 2 points for the takedown for Mike Klemek. As Dan Eller struggling, now trailing 11-4 with a half a minute left to go in this match.
He just cut him loose again to try to go for another takedown. He's trying to build the score up.
11-5 the score. Klemek still looking fresh with 20 seconds left to go. 6-point lead. And the final 10 seconds. Both wrestlers still doing battle. Klemek reaching for the leg on 1 foot. And before anything happens, the clock runs out. Do they give any points? Apparently they will not. It'll end at 12-5. Another victory for Providence New Lenox as Mike Klemek wins his match over Dan Eller. And the lead grows, now 20-3 for Providence. Well, if they win, it would be their 4th state title in a row. It would be the 4th for head coach Keith Healy. Is there any drought in sight, any end to the dynasty for Providence, or will they just keep reloading and continue this trend into the future, Dan?
It looks like he's reloading. I think he's got a lot of good kids coming back, and he works really hard with his younger feeder kids, so I think he's going to be in good shape in the years to come.
It just speaks to the tradition and also the ability of the head coach, Keith Healy, to be able to produce year in and year out. Over on the single A mat now at the 135-pound weight class. We've got 1:20 left to go in the second period, and the Montini Broncos in this match leading 7-1. Matt Chapman, the junior for the Clinton Maroons, trailing by half a dozen.
Well, you talk about the Providence tradition. The tradition has gone through 3 head coaches so far. Mark Rugerder and Mike Poles.
He flips him over, now going for the pin, tries to get him down.
Nice half
Trying
Nelson.
desperately. The head coach up off the bench wanting the pin, has his arms in the air, but they're not giving it. Half a minute left to go. Second period, a 10-1 lead now for Montini in this match. Craig Javikowski, the junior, up by 9 points with 10 seconds left to go in the second period as the Montini Broncos trying to reclaim the team lead, trailing by 1, 12-11. And we're now through 2 periods, and it's a commanding lead for the Broncos. Javikowski, the junior qualifier, 39-5 the record. Matt Chapman, the junior, at 32-4 for the Clinton Maroons. But right now it's Chapman on top. As he gets position. And Javikowski looking a bit winded, but still leading by 11, 12-1. As he tries to give his team the lead once again. Montini led early on, had a 7-0 lead at one point, but Clinton has come back with the help of a pin. They lead by 1, and we're now down to the final 60 seconds of this match. Javikowski trying to ride things out for the victory. And now a potential pin.
That's going to be very close.
Chapman looking to hold him down, trying to roll him over.
He just made an adjustment. I think he's got it.
And he finally did get it. A huge win.
He adjusted his chest so it put more pressure down and shifted the shoulders down. Very good move.
Take a look again at how it ended.
You can see him adjust his chest, which will give him more room to push the shoulders down. There it is. There's the foul.
And the Montini Broncos now with a 5-point lead. A 5-point team lead, and now we're back on the AA mat. The 140-pound weight class. Nick Roberts, the junior for Providence, leading 5-1 over Ken Salem, also a junior, for the Conan Cougars.
One thing you have to realize too, that in dual meet competition, how you match up is very important. You know, if your good wrestler goes against their good wrestler, then if you win that match, it's going to be very decisive, you know. But matchups are very important in the dual meets.
Half a minute left to go in the second period here on the AA mat. 5-1 the lead for Providence. 20-3 is the team score. They've dominated from almost the starts. They only lost the first match, the heavyweight, at the 275-pound level. Since then, 20 unanswered points. Conant, despite handing Lane Tech out of Chicago their first loss of the year in the semifinals, they are really struggling here. But you can only do so much, I suppose, against a powerhouse like Providence. As they start the third and final period on the AA mats, we will take you over to the single A level. They're under a minute left to go in the first period at the 140-pound weight class. And Ted Ekman apparently is the change as he comes in to wrestle for the Montini Broncos at 140 pounds. He's facing B.J. Hanlon for the Clinton Maroons. No score in this match. Under 30 seconds now left to go in the opening period. 17-12, Montini with the team lead. And both wrestlers, it looks like, will take it to the end of the period. No scoring in the first 2 minutes between Clinton and Montini. So we will take you over to the AA mats. Under a minute left to go in this particular match. Providence leading the Conant Cougars as Nick Roberts, the junior, is up by 8 points at this stage, 11-3. Roberts leading Kevin Salem, And going for more in the final half minute of this match. The 145-pound weight class is next. And it looks like Salem just doesn't have enough in the final 15 seconds to do anything against Nick Roberts. A position of strength right now. For the final 10 seconds of this match, leading 11-3. And that's it. Another victory for Providence New Lenox. It's almost automatic right now. Incrementally building their lead, now 24-3. And Conant just has no answer for these Celtics, Dan.
Well, in the middle right there, they're going to have problems with Providence. Providence is so strong. They got so many placers and qualifiers there.
As Keith Healy talks to his wrestlers, back on the single A mats. We're in the second period, about a minute left to go. Still no score, a very tightly contested match between Hanlon and Ekman.
There's 1 point escape there.
So Montini with the first lead in this match, 1-0. And now a whistle stops the action, and they will check out the wrestler.
He's got a little blood on his face. They're going to check him out, clean him up. We get 5 minutes to do that.
So with a timeout on this side, we'll jump over to the double A mat now. A minute 25 left in the opening period, no score. As we're up to the 145-pound weight class now. Noah Lee, the senior for Providence New Lenox, is wrestling Dave Francione, a sophomore for the Conant Cougars. Now a quick aggressive move underneath that time by Francione, going for the legs, and both wrestlers on the mat, still with no score, under a minute to go in the opening period of the match.
This is Conant's last underclassmen of the day. They're going to finish out with seniors now, so it looks like they'll be coming up with Conant's strength.
And the seniors will have to come up big, trailing 24-3. And running away basically is Noah Lee. One of the rare Providence wrestlers this season under the 500 level. As far as his record, he was 11-19. Not many weak links in this Providence chain. Francione leading for Conant, 2-1, final 10 seconds of the period. Lee stumbling just a bit. The wrestlers squaring off, and a quick move by Lee trying to go for the legs. And that should do it for the first period. And we'll jump over to the end of the second period on the single A mats. 1-1 is our score, final 10 seconds. And a whistle as they move out of bounds with 3 seconds left on the clock. This is Ekman against Hanlon. Ekman for Montini, Hanlon, the senior for the Clinton Maroons. And we move to the second period, tied at 1. Just about as close as you can get on this single A mat. Check that, we are going to the third period in this match, but as I said, about as close as you can get. The match tied at 1, and only 1 point separating the two teams in the team score, 17-12 in favor of the Broncos.
Well, he's riding the legs here, and it looks like he's just trying to turn him. He's trying to get back points. Obviously, if the wrestler on the bottom gets away, he's going to be winning by 1 point, so he's trying to force a near fall position.
Could this be a pivotal match with only 1 point separating the teams and a tie score here in the third period?
Well, I think when you get a state championship match like this, you win the close matches like this, it's going to be the difference.
Check that, it is a 5 point difference. Montini on top, still very close.
Oh yeah, one fall and they're ahead. But in a close match like this, you have to win the close matches or you won't win the meet.
2-1 is the lead for Clinton.
I think one way to look at it is, either way, you could have a 6-point swing in the score here. If you win, you get 3 points. If you lose, they get 3 points. So that's a big swing in a dual meet, especially if it's very close.
B.J. Hanlon, the senior, on top, now 3-1, with 1:07 left to go in this match. And now 2 more points for the Clinton Maroons and B.J. Hanlon, increasing his lead to 5-1 with only about 40 seconds left to go in the match. Now 5-2 the score. Make it 6-2. An additional point is awarded to B.J. Hanlon. He's up by 4, and we've got 31 seconds left. And now checking for blood once again. And as we have a break in the action, we will clear the way for these and then continue with the dual team wrestling championships from here in the Quad Cities. We'll come back after this. We continue on the AA mat, the 145-pound weight class. Noah Lee against Dave Francione, Providence and Conant. And right now it's Francione with a 1-point lead, 3-2, and 1:30 left to go in the third period. And with some time left, we will jump over to the single A mat. Only 20 seconds left in the third period here. And the Clinton Maroons leading 7-2 as B.J. Hanlon at the 140-pound weight class has the 5-point lead. And a whistle stops the action with just under 10 seconds left to go. They furiously scramble in the final seconds of this match. And as time runs out, it's a win for B.J. Hanlon and the Clinton Maroons. And with that victory, they inch closer to the Montini Broncos. It's been back and forth throughout, very competitive and very entertaining as well. It's 17-15, Montini on top.
Well, we said earlier that this was going to be a tight meet, and it's proven out to be that.
So we're back to the AA-A's, 145-pound weight class. Only 30 seconds left to go in this match. And the Conant Cougars leading 5-3. Dave Francione trying to finish off Noah Lee. A slim 2-point lead. They take it out of bounds with 11 seconds left to go. So Lee needs something big in the time remaining. A takedown would tie it, but only 5 seconds to do it. And he won't get it. Only the second victory of the day for the Conant Cougars. It's won by Dave Francione, the sophomore, but Providence still with a commanding team lead at 24-6 as they will proceed onto the 152-pound weight class on the AA mat. Back to single A's now. Early on, first period at the 145-pound weight level, with Montini in the team competition leading Clinton 17-15. It's Josh Carr for the Maroons against Joey Sippick for the Broncos. Carr, the state qualifier, he's a junior. Joey Sippick, also a junior, also a state qualifier, finishing 4th last week. And a quick 2-0 lead for the Montini Broncos and Joey Sippick with under a minute now left to go in the opening period. And it appears as though on the AA side of things, the 152-pound weight class is a forfeit. The victory will go to Providence New Lenox. That makes it now 30-6 as we jump straight ahead to the 160-pound weight class.
Jared Burris from Conant in the semifinals injured his ankle. It's Coach Cartwright from Conant. But the Conan 152-pounder was on crutches this afternoon as he came in.
And we're still at the 145 single A side of the auditorium. 25 seconds left to go in the first period, and Montini leading 2-0. Joey Sipic with a takedown, the only 2 points of this match so far. But Josh Carr trying to bounce back. And that will bring us to the end of the first period. 2-0 Montini as we go to the second period on the single A mats here at the Carver Center on the campus of Augustana College. As we shuttle over to the AA side now, it is Nick Pasolano, the senior, leading 6-1 at the 160-pound level over Jerry Giuliano, also a senior for the Conan Cougars. But Pasolano with a stellar record so far this year. He won the individual title last week at State, undefeated so far this season.
He's an outstanding wrestler. He's going to be dominant in this match. Conan's going to have a hard time winning anything here.
Under a minute left to go in the first period. Already a 5-point lead for Pasolano and a 24-point team lead for Providence. It's been one-sided throughout. Moline actually gave them a better match in the semifinal round as far as the overall point differential is concerned.
Well, Providence has been ranked #1 in the state all year, but they've also been ranked #7 in the country, the 7th best team in the country. But Moline has been ranked in the top 20 in the country as well. So the coaches around the country understand that Illinois has outstanding wrestling.
And Pasolano going for the pin here in this first period, leading 6-1, final 5 seconds, trying to roll him onto his back. Trying for position, but the clock will expire. Nick Pasolano having his way with Jerry Giuliano. 9-1 the score as we go to the second period. How much hope do you give Giuliano in this match?
I don't give him a lot to win here. I think that, his goal wouldn't be to win, beat Pasolano. I think his goal is not to get pinned and try to save as many team points as possible.
Pasolano did win the individual title last week, but an impressive all-around performance by Providence New Lenox. They also had one wrestler finish second and won 4 other medals as well. (10-1) is the lead, with 171s coming up next. And a whistle will stop things. Well, with this match pretty much well in hand, we'll go back to the single A match where they're about to start the third and final period. The Montini Broncos at the 145-pound weight level with Joey Sipic, the junior, leading 7-2 over Josh Carr. Montini with a 2-point team lead, trying to extend that with a victory in this match.
He's pretty much hanging on there, hoping for a stalemate call. Well, he improved his position there. Now he's looking a little better.
Both wrestlers looking a little fatigued at this point, but still a relatively small margin. Only 5 points between them and 120 left to go.
It's been a long day.
Yes, it has, but each match is big. On this single A match, we know things are pretty much well in hand on the double A side, but right now only 2 points separating the two teams, so every match could be pivotal. And we're back to Nick Pasolano on the double A mat just in time for the pin. In the second period with about 31 seconds left to go, Nick Pasolano finishes off an undefeated season at the 160-pound weight class. A decisive and impressive victory to cap a spectacular season for Nick Pasolano.
An excellent Splato move, and scored a fall with it.
So the senior wins, and this is how he did it.
He'll hook the leg. He grabs the leg with his arms, and he'll reach out with his legs and hook the opposite leg of the Conant wrestler, which will shift his hips over and force his back on the mat. And you'll see the Conant wrestler's back will go flat on the mat after he gets the leg hooked here. This is called a Splato move. And here he goes, pulls him right over.
Virtually textbook.
Textbook.
And we're on the single A's as we wind down here. And that'll do it.
9-5.
As Montini wins at the 145-pound weight class. Joey Sipic with the victory, and they will extend on their lead. Now 20-15, the Broncos over the Maroons. And more action upcoming from the dual team championships here in Rock Island. Steve Schlanger with Dan Cliff. We're coming back on Fox Sports Net. Due to time constraints, we now pick up the wrestling action further along in the match. We're at the single A match right now, the 162-pound weight class, or I should say 160-pound weight class. A quick 2-0 lead, now 5-0 for the Montini Broncos. And we do have a change of wrestlers from the listed pairings for the Clinton Maroons. It's Bill Reedy. He's going up against Adam Clay for Montini. Adam Clay, only a freshman, but a state qualifier, finishing 4th last week. And he faces Bill Reedy. But right now, Reedy is trailing Adam Clay, the freshman, looking for the 2nd consecutive victory for the Montini Broncos. 23-15. Bill Reedy with a record of 12-9 coming in. An 8-point Bronco lead. This is as big a lead as any team has had for a long time in this particular match, isn't it, Dan?
Yeah, it's been a very tight meet. As we expected, it's going to be close all the way to the end.
Trying to roll him over, looking for the pin here in the first period.
Bonus points are going to be important, so that's why it's important to get falls and technical falls. There it is.
And a huge win, a huge pin here in this first period. And that's quite a statement. And look what it does to the scoreboard as well, 29-15. That may be the dagger in the hearts of the Clinton Maroons as the Montini Broncos now have their biggest lead of the day.
That's 9 points that Clinton was not expected to come at him.
Check out this pin once again.
Yeah, he's got what they call a butcher, and he pulled him over with it. Now he gets his shoulders down, forces his chest straight down through to the shoulders. And you'll see both shoulder blades touch the mat for 2 seconds, and the official calls a fall. He's trying to arch there. Official gets in position, sees the fall, and calls it.
Boy, it has to be like a punch in the gut to the Clinton Maroons. This match had been so close. They're battling for the state title. These wrestlers engaging in their 3rd matches of the day, and all of a sudden now down 29-15 on the single A mat, but now we're on the double A mat. 39-6 overall, Providence New Lenox. It's anticlimactic at the 189-pound weight class. It's Tim Brundage for Providence New Lenox, the senior. And he's facing Jason Cartwright, the senior for the Conant Cougars. This is the start of the 3rd period. Providence leading in this match 7-4. And check it for Conant, a change. John Buchanan is the wrestler. But Tim Brundage, the senior, is in fact the wrestler on the mat for the Celtics, leading by 3. And Brundage clearly in control right now. A record of 13-12 coming in. A 5-point lead now, 9-4. Goes for the one leg as both wrestlers slide around on the floor, trying for position, trying to move him around and finish him off.
He's trying to get a reverse cradle. Arm through the leg and arm around the head, lock his hands and then drive him over to his back that way.
The 215-pound weight class coming up next on the AA mat as we're under a minute left to go in this match. Conant has struggled all afternoon. Just nothing they can do against these Celtics. The dynasty in two-way wrestling, leading 39-6 overall. Boy, it's so one-sided, Dan. It's hard for fans on either side to really get involved. Of course, for Conant because they're trailing by so much, but also for Providence because they're so used to winning. And when you're up by this much, it is anticlimactic, and there's really not much that can get you fired up.
Yeah, I kind of equate it with a basketball team. You know, if you're up by 25, everybody sits down and watches the action, and the excitement level goes down.
Like the Bulls with Michael Jordan, just beating teams night in, night out. Unfortunately for Providence, nobody like Dennis Rodman to keep things colorful and interesting. And the end of the match, a 9-4 win for Tim Brendich, the senior for Providence New Lenox. Now 42-6, the team score for the Celtics. Well on their way to their unprecedented fourth consecutive state title. A big hug from head coach Keith Healy, and now over to the single A mat. This is the 171-pound weight class. About a minute 30 left to go in the second period. A 2-0 lead for Clinton. And it's Josh Cooper, originally listed at the 160-pound level, wrestling at 171. Josh Cooper wrestling against Trevor Ekstrom for the Montini Broncos, who lead 29-15.
That's a move that Coach Rob Leben did, and he's trying to make a move to score some more points here, get himself back in the meet.
The crowd, as you might expect, a lot more vocal over on the single A side, with it relatively closer. Under a minute in the second period, 2-1 the lead for Cooper as the Maroons try to climb back into it, but it's getting late. And as the pressure mounts with the remaining matches, you can bet the individual wrestlers really feel it, Dan.
And the style will change also, because if a wrestler just has to win, he can just wrestle his own style. If he has to pin someone for the team's bonus points, he goes to more upper body and starts throwing and do things like that he's not used to.
It's a scramble now. (4-1) the lead for the Clinton Maroons, and Cooper, 10 seconds remaining, second period, 171-pound weight class. And that'll do it. 2 minutes left to go in the match. After two periods, a 4-1 lead for Cooper and the Clinton Maroons, who trail 29-15 to the Montini Broncos, searching for the state title at the single A level. You've heard from time to time how loud the crowds have been here at the Carver Center at Augustana College. And this is an area where folks really appreciate good wrestling.
Oh, there's good wrestling in the Quad Cities here. Todd Rosenthal does a nice job over at Moline. Bam Pastelnik does a nice job at East Moline. There's Geneseo down here, Port Byron, Riverdale. A lot of good squads down this way.
And here we are at the 215-pound weight class on the AA mat. And a couple of changes. Jason Cartwright wrestling for the Conant Cougars. Joe Noriko for the Providence Celtics. Providence leading 42-6. And I guess if you're the Celtics and you still want to maintain some goals, perhaps it's trying to keep the Cougars in single digits for team points. Last year they beat Moline 50-15. This would be even a more lopsided win if they can hold it at this score.
Well, it just talks about the quality of the program and the quality of the team that Providence has when they can come into a state championship match and dominate 2 years in a row like this. It's just amazing.
5 seconds left to go in this opening period. 2-0 the lead for Conant right now. And that's it. We'll go to the second period on the AA mats. What's going to happen, Dan, for a team to eventually come along and knock off Providence New Lenox?
Well, I think you're going to see some teams coming on. I see Moline doing a nice job. There's a lot of squads in the suburbs. Marist is doing real well right now. Mount Carmel, you know, Providence is going to start getting some pressure here.
Keith Healy, in his 8th year as the head coach, has already won 3 state titles, has the 4th one well in hand. How do you rank him among the better coaches in high school wrestling?
Well, I think Keith does a nice job. He's a younger coach, you know. He's stepped into a great program and done great things with it, you know. So that just says a lot of good things about what he does, you know. But you look across the state, there's some outstanding coaches. One right across the mat from him right now, and Jim Cartwright, who's had 26 years, over 400 wins. You know, you have to take your hat off to him, too.
And you can bet he'll be back with that same tie next year, the good luck tie that's now worked 2 years in a row.
Yeah, I just hope he washes his shirt.
That's why we stay at a safe distance. Still 2-0 the lead for Cartwright and the Conant Cougars in the 215-pound weight class. And as wrestlers, it's so important to have confidence in your coach and to want to do things for your coach. It's really like that in any sport. If the coach inspires confidence and can get his players to play for him in any sport, that really becomes such a potent combination.
Oh, that's very true. But also it's even more true at a private school like Providence, where those kids don't have to go to that school. So they want to be there with Keith. So that just says a lot of things about him.
1:11 left to go in the second period. There's an injury timeout on the single A mat at the 171-pound class. The 215s here on the AA mats. 1:11 left to go, second period. 2-0 lead for Conant. We started at 275, worked our way back around to the lower weight classes, and now coming back to the heavier weights.
I think Cartwright's going to have to start doing something here. He's going to get called for stalling. Seems like they're both just clinging, you know.
50 seconds left to go in this second period.
There it is. Up, they call the top guy because he's not coming out to the side working for a fall.
Well, the Cougars did win the opening match at the 275-pound weight class, but since then, all Providence going to add their 6th state title in the trophy case. They've had 13 state appearances in the last 14 years, so you got to ask yourself, what happened in the other year? What could have gone wrong? Well, there was no state tournament that other year.
They canceled the tournament that year because there was some controversy and some litigation problems. So the state tournament was canceled in AA that year.
Final 10 seconds of the second period. 3-0 Conant in this match. With such a lopsided score, is there anything that Conant can do, any sort of moral victories that they can pull out of this one, knowing that the match is well in hand to Providence?
Well, I have to sit there and say I was sitting right in the same seat that Cartwright was sitting. In 1989, we took second in the state at DeKalb, and Providence did the same thing to us. And all we had to do is tell the kids, listen, you won second place in the state. You have to be very proud of yourself.
And this is the end of the match at the 171-pound weight level on the single A mat. And it's a victory for the Clinton Maroons, as Cooper wins it 9-4, but still trailing Montini overall as the Broncos maintain the lead at single A. And with that, we'll clear the way and continue with more from the dual team championships in Rock Island. We'll bring you back on Fox Sports Net. Steve Schlanger with Dan Cliff at the Carver Center in Rock Island, Illinois, here in the Quad Cities area. On the single A mat, the 189-pound weight class, as both wrestlers go towards the benches. And Tyrone Bird is now wrestling for Clinton. That's a change for the Maroons. And he's facing Brent Reese, the sophomore. Check that. Instead, it's Joe Belgio, apparently the senior. Belgio wrestling for the Montini Broncos, who lead 29-18. Bird and Belgio, as the single A's have yet to be decided. Early on in the first period, 29-18. This match much closer earlier on. It went back and forth, but then a couple of matches ago, a pivotal pin and some separation between these two teams really gave the Broncos a huge lift.
Bird's got a butcher in. He's trying to turn him to his back.
Trying to roll him over. Looking at the official, hoping for the points. 30 seconds remaining in the opening period. 2-0 the lead for the Maroons in this match. And it appears as though they will ride it out like this to the end of the period, as he tries for more leverage with under 10 seconds remaining now.
Oh, he's in trouble
Now
there.
trying for the pin, trying to end it right here.
Oh, he ran
And
out of
instead,
time.
the clock saves him. Saved by the bell. 2-0 the lead after one period. Now it actually will be 5-0. Some points awarded right there on the final move. So they'll go to the second period with the Clinton Maroons leading 5-0 in this match. Still not out of it, as Bird leads it on top of Belgio for the Montini Broncos. Montini on top 29-18, but Clinton shipping away.
You're gonna see the style of these two wrestlers change, because they're gonna have to, both of them have to get falls. They have to score 6 points apiece instead of just getting a win. So they're gonna be trying to throw some things.
Six 6-0 the lead for Bird. Hoping for a pin and the 6 necessary points. And as they go out of bounds, let's go to the AA mat. Our final weight class, 2:15, under a minute to go in the match. The Conant Cougars leading 3-1. But of course, the Celtics in total command of the team competition, 42-6. And now just a matter of time before the Celtics are crowned once again. It'll be their 4th consecutive state title, 6th overall. They'd like to finish on a positive note, however. A victory is always good to go out on. 35 seconds remaining. Conant with a 2-point lead, 3-1. And the officials at the scores table. And they decide to give Conant an additional point for the escape, I believe. And now some more blood on the mat. They'll tend to that as the clock is stopped with 35 seconds left to go. A 3-point Conant lead in this match. And with some time, we'll go back to the single A mat. Let's check out what happened to Bird just moments ago first. They were pushing each other and obviously fell to the floor in front of the benches.
Well, things are really tight here because of the gym here, and he ran into the chairs. The coaches were trying to catch him. It looks like he might have caught part of the chair.
We'll go back to the 215-pound weight class on the AA mats. Only 15 seconds separating Providence from their 4th consecutive state title. Out of bounds, the whistle stops action with 8 seconds left to go now. 4-1 the lead for the Cougars as the clock winds down. And that'll do it to win in the match for the Cougars. But the Celtics are state champions for the 4th consecutive time. The Providence New Lenox Celtics win their 6th state title overall. A final of 42-9 as Keith Healy has his 4th state title at Providence. And the Celtics win in commanding fashion. This one was never in doubt as they win again. The Celtics, the New York Yankees of high school wrestling in the state of Illinois. So we'll go back to single A now. 20 seconds left to go in the second period. The Clinton Maroons leading this match. Bird on top, 8-0 now over Belgio. But the Montini Broncos maintaining the team advantage at 29-18. This is the 189-pound weight class again. One more weight class to go. Belgio, the senior, trying to pull it out for the Broncos, but trailing as we now go to the third period. 2 minutes left to go in the match. Bird leading 8-0. A little winded. It's getting late, and now the crowd on their feet, looking for a response. 11 points separating these two teams, with only one weight class remaining and standing in front of the Montini Broncos in a state title. Quickly to the mat, trying to gain position. And the crowd imploring Joe Belgio, chance of let's go Joe. Hoping he can turn it around. And essentially, mathematically, put the Maroons out of it.
Well, if he could get a technical fall and then the 215-pounder got a fall, we could have a tie meet. Now we would have to go to criteria. Looks like Bird's going to let him go here, try to take him down from his feet to his back.
And he gets 1 point as he scrambles away. 8-1 now, the lead for Bird and the Maroons. A minute 23 left in this match. This is the only match going on here at the Carver Center. All the other 3 matches have wrapped up. Now he takes him to his back. He's got the fall.
That was the throw I was talking about. That's the only thing he could do.
The clock winding down. We're under a minute now left to go.
He's got plenty of time to pin him. There it is.
He's got it.
They're still in it.
A huge victory. The Maroons needed it in the worst way, and they got it. It makes it 29-24 with one weight class remaining. 5 points separating these two teams. Set for an exciting finish here at the Carver Center. It's worth another look.
Just a lateral throw. Takes him right to his back. Cinches him down, slides his hips down a way to force his back down. You can see the official calling back points. He's watching for the fall. And there it is.
The jury is still out on the single A mats. We'll step aside and then come back with the conclusion. The 215-pound weight class is up next from the Carver Center. A minute 35 remaining in the opening period. The 215-pound weight class. Brent Rees wrestling for the Clinton Maroons, trailing by 5, 29-24. And Clinton and Rees with a 2-point lead make that now 2-1 here in the opening period.
Well, as I said earlier, Rees is going to have to throw. He's got to go for a fall. Either a technical fall or a pin. One of the two.
A pin gives him the win. It leaves no doubt as to what the strategy is. The entire Carver Center now with their attention on this particular mat. Greg Strumpek trying to hold on for the Montini Broncos. 29-24 is their lead. Everybody from the other matches is circling this mat. Waiting for what promises to be a very exciting finish. Half a minute now left to go. A 4-2 lead for the Maroons, trailing by 5 in the match.
Well, if this ends up in a tie, Montini would have criteria. So they have to have a fall. They have to have a fall to win.
He's got to be aggressive. Only leading by 2 right now. However, that doesn't mean anything. He needs the pin.
Oh!
Will he get it? Will they get the pin? Struggling mightily. Hoping to finish it right here. Montini looking to close it out. But instead they separate him. There's 2 points awarded.
And a 3 near fall, and they call it potential dangerous because he came across the throat.
So Montini leading now 7-4.
I'll check that. The time went out. Sorry. I thought it was potential dangerous. The time went out.
A quick glance.
He was just getting over aggressive, and then he got thrown through with the Japanese whizzer, they call it, and took him right to his back.
Third and final period underway. This is it. He has to go for something big, but the Broncos, it looks like, are well in command. Will the Maroons have enough? All it takes is one move, Dan.
That's right. All you have to do is pin him. You could be losing by 14 points and pin him, and you still win.
He's got to find a way to break it. Instead, goes hard to the mat.
That's an example I talk about. He's responsible to bring that wrestler down under control. This is really exciting. All the AA schools are around. Everybody's encircled the mat. There's a cradle.
Trying to pull him back. Getting his shoulders down, hoping for the pin to close it out. Under a minute left, and there it is. Montini, state champions as they defeat the Clinton Maroons.
The Montini fans are going crazy. Coach Pekuski, Mike Pekuski, are just happy as get out.
A very emotional Montini side. Clinton, a valiant comeback, but a very exciting set of matches overall. It went back and forth early on, but it ended like this.
Nice cradle, brings him back to his back. All he has to do then is push his hips away and rotates his shoulders down to the mat. And you'll see the fall called directly. There it is.
There's the pin, and now from another angle.
You see him bring him back. Now you'll see his right knee pushing his hips away to try to rotate him back. Whoop, he didn't push him back for that. He just pulled him back and rotated him with his arms.
Terrific form and tremendous strength as the Broncos win it. 35-24 is the final score as they claim the state title at the Class A level. You see the euphoria on the Montini side. They win it. New Lenox wins it on the AA side. We have 2 state champions. We'll come back with the awards and some additional thoughts when we return to Rock Island in a moment on Fox Sports Net. A thrilling finish to an exciting day of wrestling here in the Quad Cities. Steve Schlanger with Dan Cliff, and our Pepsi moment is the one that clinched the state title for the Montini Broncos.
Greg Strempek of Montini cradles up his opponent, takes him to his back. Clinton had to have a fall at this weight class, and Strempek stopped it, gets the fall, and earns the state championship for his team. You'll see the official call the fall here in a second, and means Montini is Class A dual team state championship.
And there's Keith Healy, the head coach of the state champion Providence Celtics. They win their 4th consecutive state title. They are the 2000 champions. Healy wins his 4th title at Providence. Just a juggernaut, and they will continue this dynasty into the next millennium. state champions at the AA level, and the Montini Broncos also champions at the single A level. What a day of wrestling here at the Carver Center in Rock Island. So for Dan Cliff, I'm Steve Schlanger saying so long from the 2000 IHSA Dual Wrestling Championships in the Quad Cities. The proceeding has been a presentation of Fox Sports Net.